From the demons coming out at the Grammys to the coldest days in the history of New England. What does that mean for the global warming cult? Also in the news, we have reports of 3 different air balloon type spies flying across America. But why did they only shoot one? Why? Your guess is as good as mine. My name is Dimitri Cerrujo, and you are watching The Dimitri Cerrujo Show.
I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging into the global warming cult, we can see that in New England, in the Northeast more broadly, we're faced with the coldest days in the last 50 years. Looking at the coldest point, Mount Washington, it was about 130 degrees below zero. And Boston was -10. That might not come as a shock for a person that has an IQ higher than the price of a McChicken, but for the rest of us, we know that this global warming scare is uncalled for, mostly because every single reliable source tells us that the temperature is only rising by less than 1 degree every decade. But also because of the fact that the Earth should heat up. And it's great if it did, simply because more people die from the cold than from heat every single year. According to the New York Post, quote, "Cold deaths vastly outweigh heat deaths. This is common knowledge in the academic literature. And for instance, the Lancet finds that each year, almost 600,000 people die globally from heat, but 4.5 million from the cold. So to break even on heat deaths and cold deaths would be a really long time in the making. Adding, by the time we even get to this point, ACs and heaters would be way more mainstream than they are today, and they really are mainstream, even for the poorest of the poor countries." With that being said, we're going to be moving on to the next segment of the Dimitri Cerrujo Show, and that is the headline of the week. Starting with the first article, "You can't make this stuff up. Twitter reacts to Pfizer sponsoring Satan-themed Grammys performance." Now, later on in the week on Saturday actually, I'm going to be posting my full response to the whole entire Grammys episode, so stay tuned for that. But for now, this segment with with Sam Smith is really, really bad. This, like I have been saying, I already reacted to the Unholy music video. This is not new information to me. I knew this. This is exactly what's in the music video. People miss out on the music video and then they're appalled when they see it on stage. This was already in the music video, so I don't know why everybody's so shocked. They're shocked. I can tell why they're shocked. I mean, obviously I'm not stupid. I know why they're shocked, but I'm not surprised. This was in the music video, so obviously it's going to be on stage. Continuing with the article, many Grammys viewers were shocked by the fact that this year's show was sponsored by no other than the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer. I was surprised too when I saw that. Music fans made their opinions known on Twitter, noting how Sam Smith and Tim Petras to be exact, held themed performance of his award-winning song, Unholy. Immediately preceded a reminder that Pfizer was financially supporting the whole thing. Sam Smith has a satanic Grammys performance and it's sponsored by Pfizer. You can't make this stuff up. One person observed while sharing a video clip of the red lighted stage. "The devil brought to you by Pfizer," conservative pundit Charlie Kirk agreed. They really ran the sponsored by Pfizer right after the satanic demon performance at the Grammys. "This stuff is getting too obvious," another tweet said. I get on Twitter and I realize I missed the Grammys last night, but I come here to see that it was another satanic ritual, or they're just dressed up as blood clots since it was sponsored by Pfizer, which is actually really funny. Another person joked on Twitter, sharing photos of Sam Smith arriving in a red cape and Lizzo posting in her red flower-adorned garment. The Grammys featured Sam Smith's demonic performance and was sponsored by Pfizer. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, "And the Satanic Church now has an abortion clinic in the NM that requires its patients to perform a satanic ritual before services. American Christians need to get to work." Smith's performance is being lauded by the legacy media despite the satanic imagery. The artist, who identifies as non-binary, previously opened up about the risks of making this new album. I think that you can't blame people for thinking something's not beautiful sometimes. Some people just don't like it, but it was the case where I had to sit there and be like, wait, maybe you don't like it because that Wait, maybe you don't like that because you don't understand it, Smith said. The music industry is not used to queer artists. Okay, how about Queen? How about Boy George? These are just two examples of the people that I can just come up with at the top of my head. 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, there was always gay or queer singers out there. It's not the fact that you're gay. Every other person and their mom is gay at this point in time. 67% of Gen Zers are gay. So I don't get the fact that Sam Smith is like, oh, well, it's because I'm queer. No, it's because of the fact that you're literally dressing up as Satan. Are you stupid? Like, you don't even have to answer that question. We already know you're stupid. Moving on with the next article from the Daily Wire, we have leaked Pfizer document shows. Oh my God, all of these things. Okay. We have leaked Pfizer document shows embattled employee from Project Veritas video is still employed. Warns against more anti-science stings. This is science. The literal definition of science is trial and error. If you try something out and it does not work, then it doesn't work. But the thing is that these are the scientific methods. It's the scientific method for trial and error. It's the scientific method to actually get to the bottom of it, to investigate the matter, to find the evidence. That's the scientific evidence. How is it anti-science? Just because you think that you are the science? No. You've been hanging out with Dr. Fauci for way too long. Moving on with the article, embattled Pfizer employee Jordan Tristan Walker appears to still be employed at the pharmaceutical company after he allegedly revealed confidential information about the firm to an undercover Project Veritas journalist. According to a leaked document in which the drug maker warned employees to watch out for anti-science activists. Walker, who leads research and development for mRNA projects at Pfizer, told an undercover Project Veritas reporter that the company's COVID vaccines are impacting women's menstrual cycles and that the company uses directed evolution to mutate coronaviruses for the creation of more potent viruses in vaccines, of variants in vaccines. The document from Pfizer appeared to reference Walker as a current employee. Quote, we are aware of and managing a recent incident where one of our colleagues was baited into a conversation in a social situation and recorded without their knowledge, the document said. Fact-based information rooted in the sound science is vitally important to preserving Pfizer's scientific innovations, reputation, and trust with business partners, and ultimately enables us to deliver breakthroughs for patients. The only thing that you're breaking through is the lines between our arteries and our heart, which makes myocarditis. That's the only thing that you're breaking through. The only thing that you're breaking through is the amount of people that are getting myocarditis and actually dying from myocarditis. That's the only thing that you're breaking through. You're breaking through the boundaries of the records of amount of people getting myocarditis. That's the only thing that you're breaking through. That's the only innovation that you're actually making. And the only people that you're actually making money for is yourself. That's the pharmaceutical companies for you guys. Moving with their statement, anti-science activists are becoming increasingly brazen in their drive to gain and manipulate information, fueling the spread of baseless claims and endangering public health. Listen, the baseless claim is not said by us. It's said by your representative. It's said by your person that works within the field that in question. In public health, you don't care about public health because if you did, you'd not be putting out this so-called vaccine. It's not even a vaccine. Pfizer has not responded to questions from the Daily Wire about Walker's employment status. Walker has expressed concern that the vaccine was not functioning properly and indicated that there may be an issue from hormonal disruptions. Quote, I hope we don't discover something really bad down the line. I hope we don't find out that somehow this mRNA lingers in the body, he said, because it has been affecting something hormonal to impact menstrual cycles. Despite claims of evidence from fact checkers, Walker's apparent LinkedIn profile which has been deleted, and images of more Pfizer documents shared by Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe suggested that he did indeed work for the pharmaceutical firm. Walker was listed as a Pfizer Director of Research and Development, Strategic Operations, and mRNA Scientific Planning. When confronted by James O'Keefe in another video in which we reacted to, Walker called himself a liar who fabricated the admissions to impress the undercover reporter with whom he believed he was on a date. The document cautioned Pfizer employees to avoid the, quote, surprising and confidential tactics employed by organizations such as Project Veritas. Of course, because the first day you're on, or the second day, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth day, you're not going to go and spill your business dealings with a company that you don't own. Even if you did own the company, why would you trust that person? You just met them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The targeting can happen online through social media and dating apps, as well as in person, through the industry conferences, or simple social situations, such as a casual conversation with a new acquaintance in the bar or a date or a party the company warned. We must safeguard all sensitive and confidential information at all times, and exercise extreme caution amid discussions and acquaintances. Obviously, you don't just meet somebody at the bar and say, hey, actually, here's all my business dealings. Here's what Pfizer's doing. Here's what Google's doing. These people are so stupid for even talking to these dates about these certain things. That's a person that you work for. Why are you going to go and spill the beans on the people that you work for? Moving with the article, Facebook and Instagram threatened to permanently ban Project Veritas from the platforms after a journalist from a non-profit group confronted YouTube Vice President Global Trust and Safety Matt Halpton on why the sting up video about coronavirus mutation at Pfizer has been removed. Project Veritas added that they have been wrongfully locked out of Twitter for nearly 2 hours on Friday afternoon after the social media company claimed that the Halpern video consisted abuse and harassment. Pfizer denied conducting gain-of-function experiments after the initial footage was released. Working with collaborators, we have conducted research where the original SARS-CoV-2 virus has been used to express the spike protein from new variants of concern, a statement read. The work is undertaken once a new variant of concern has been identified by public health authorities. The research provides a way for us to rapidly assess the ability of existing vaccine to induce antibodies that neutralize a newly identified variant of concern. Okay, so you're sitting here playing with the antibodies, you're playing with the gain of function, you're practically doing the gain of function with the spike protein. Now, for those of you that don't know, the spike protein of a virus is actually the thing that actually makes the virus keep manipulating and keep mutating. That's the spike protein. That spike protein keeps getting copied and copied and copied, and that's what makes the virus form and spread. So when you go and you manipulate that spike protein, then that's it. That spike protein is literally the DNA strip of the virus. It's the DNA strip of the virus, but a more clear and defined version of that DNA strip of virus. So the virus is made up of two different DNA strips combined, obviously. That's the DNA strands, but the spike protein is that little piece of the DNA strip that you can use later on to make up that whole entire piece of DNA. That's actually a very interesting thing that I think a lot of people should do research on. And that's what I did research on during COVID. So it's very important for you guys to also do that research and background information that you may need for this article also. Very interesting topic if you do want to research that on a Sunday that you have some time. But without further ado, we're going to be moving into a dozen takes.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love.
Moving with the first article from MSNBC, how the internet supercharged white supremacist homeschooling. Wow, okay, so then now they're going to say that just because you homeschooled, you're a white supremacist. Okay, let's see what they said. Earlier this week, news outlets Vice and Huffington Post wrote for an Ohio couple who had created a neo-Nazi themed homeschooling channel. Okay, what do they mean by this? Let's move on. Descendant Homeschool to distribute elementary school lesson plans to a group of 2,400 subscribers. Interested parents can download anti-Semitic and racist lesson plans to teach Nazi ideology, along with anti-LGBTQ videos and other hateful content. Okay, so I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. I mean, when you say anti-Semitic, what do you mean by anti-Semitic? Because you love Ilhan Omar. You love her, MSNBC. So you don't think that she's anti-Semitic. So the bar of anti-Semitism that you guys have is sky high. So if somebody goes over that bar, I'm pretty sure it's very anti-Semitic. In racist lesson plan, you call every single thing racist, so I don't think that it's racist. Nazi ideology. Okay, so now you literally call Matt Walsh a Nazi. I do not trust you guys when calling things a Nazi. Anti-LGBTQ, if you say that a guy is a guy and a girl is a girl, you're anti-LGBTQ. So I don't think that anything even stands except for the anti-Semitic thing. Now, if you're teaching kids to be anti-Semitic, then that's obviously a bad thing, and we need to make sure that does not happen. Moving with the article, the story draws attention to a key strategy. The story draws attention to a strategy that has long been key to white supremacist groups, indoctrinating their children through curriculum designed to teach white supremacy, while keeping them out of what they see as brainwashing, multiculturalism of public schools. Okay, so the only multiculturalism that you have in schools is the indoctrination part. Okay, so you don't like when parents indoctrinate their students in this way, and neither do I, actually, quite frankly. But I also do not like the public schools manipulating and indoctrinating the kids in the behalf of LGBTQ or in the behalf of the woke ideology. That's what we do not want the kids being taught. We don't want them being taught all this woke ideology. So why do you get mad when these parents indoctrinate their children, but you don't get mad when your party indoctrinates children? The school is superintendent of Ohio City, where the neo-Nazi homeschooling curriculum is being used, noted that the district condemns the resources, and the state's Department of Education is now investigating the neo-Nazi homeschooling network. Homeschooling has exploded in popularity since the pandemic, of course, because if you did not want to homeschool, your children simply does not get an education. The movement gained initial momentum in the 1960s and 1970s as it was embraced by a complex of fundamentalist Christians and other religious conservatives and counterculture hippies and educational radicals promoting unschooling. By the spring of 2020, 5.4% of families were homeschooling at least one child, a number that was more than double to 11.1% by the fall of 2021 during the height of the pandemic. Of course, because it's either you homeschool your child or your child simply does not get an education. Homeschooling as a strategy to indoctrinate children into white supremacy is nothing new. Although the phenomenon represents a tiny majority of homeschooling families, even before the internet, women in the white supremacist movement wrote newsletters with homeschooling tips alongside recipes intended to help raise pure white families to secure the future of white civilization. Millennial far-right woman has modernized the movement, crafting video blogs and channels that detail their experiences growing vegetables, being a housewife, and homeschooling children with the emphasis on heritage, race, and culture. Okay, so if we take out the last thing, then that's pretty good. Being a housewife for a girl, okay, that's something that you can look up to. Having a nice, stable income in the family. So the man provides for the family and the girl also provides for the family in the way of taking care of the kids, washing the dishes, doing the laundry, cooking the food. That's something that that typically girls do. But of course, in this economy, girls and guys, moms and dads also have to work together to go to a job. They either have to work separate or work together. In my case, my parents work together, actually, but that's besides the point. The point being is that being a housewife is not a bad thing, but being a house husband is a bad thing. Homeschooling children is not a bad thing either. Growing vegetables is not a bad thing. And crafting video blogs and channels, doing those top things are not bad at all. But now when you say you're having an emphasis on heritage, race, and culture, of course. The last thing I can agree with, have emphasis on culture, celebrate culture, embrace who you really are as a culture, embrace your culture as it really is, embrace your race as it really is, and embrace your heritage. But there's a difference between celebrating your race and taking it and going overboard with it, of course. There's a certain extent to everything. It's this latter modern phenomenon that takes advantage of both the growth of homeschooling families and the ease of online connections to support networks, which reduces the isolation of homeschooling and helps families access high-quality circular materials in social networks of families, pets, and peers. But online networks also run risks. With millions of new homeschooling parents looking for resources online, the last thing we need is hateful and anti-demonic content being served up to them as academic curricula. And while the neo-Nazi homeschooling network was run by an overt white supremacist, offering lessons that teach hard writing by writing quotes from Hitler, among other examples, that's really bad. Okay, first of all, if you're homeschooling, why aren't you double checking what you're printing out for your child? Why are you just going along and saying, okay, the first thing that I find on the Google, that's what I'm going to print and that's what I'm going to serve up to my child. Have a good one. No. You're going to look at the things before you actually give it to your child, obviously. Okay, moving on to the next article from the MSNBC. The MSNBC, we have hyper-focusing on new anti-trans bills may hurt more than it helps. What do you mean by that? Is it that you cannot stick up for what you believe in? That's why you cannot justify cutting the breasts off of healthy young girls. You cannot justify cutting the penis off of healthy young boys. You can't justify that? Whoa, who says? Moving with the article, seemingly every day now, we hear about a new and hateful anti-trans bill being indoctrinated into a conservative state. There's the infamous North Dakota attempt to legally tie pronouns to people's assumed DNA. What do you mean assumed DNA? DNA is something that you were born with and you cannot change. I scrape off a piece of my skin and that has DNA on it. What? Assumed DNA. I didn't assume anything. That's my DNA. That's who I am. XY or XX chromosomes. That's the only 2 chromosomes you can have, in the exception of the 0.00000000001% of people that have 3 chromosomes in them. But we do not make rules for the very, very small molecule amount of people that are out there with the 3 chromosomes in their bloodstream. We don't make rules for the very small percent of people, always. Moving with the article, numerous bills to bar trans girls from girls' schools and sports. Of course, several attempts to ban transition care for trans youths. Okay, so we're gonna pause it right there. You're saying that you actually have to be a girl to go to a girls' school? Oh my god, wait a second. You have to be a girl to go to a girls' school? Wait, you have to be a girl to be in girl sports? Obviously, if you are a man, you are born a man, okay, and you transition, quote unquote transition, because you cannot actually transition. If you put on a dress and you pretend to be a lady by putting on some lipstick and a dress, just because you do that does not mean that you do not have the testosterone that you were born with. You do not have the mobility that you were born with. Just because you transitioned, quote unquote transitioned, to a girl does not mean you lost all of those advantages that you have of being a guy. And for girls, just because you transitioned by putting on some man clothes, by putting on some, I don't know, khakis and, I don't know, a button-down shirt, it doesn't, I don't know what the hell. Whatever guys wear, I don't know. If you put on what is if a suit and tie, it doesn't make you a guy. That doesn't make any sense. These examples, there's no specific thing you can wear that makes you a girl or makes you a guy. That's not the thing that makes you a guy. What makes me a guy is I was born a guy. 1, that's what makes me a guy. Number 2 is every single thing within my body is constructed of being a guy. My hands, my head, my brain, the way my body is formed. Every single thing about me is a guy. That's not something you can simply just change. And also, God does not make mistakes. God does not put people in the wrong body. That's simply just it's just like, it's unanswerable. It makes absolutely no sense why anybody will think that they were born in the wrong body. It does not matter. You are indoctrinated by an agenda because of the fact that these hospitals, these doctors make thousands of dollars from you every single time you visit them for your testosterone boosters or your insulin boosters or your estrogen boosters. Or if you cut your breasts off, that's $20,000. Or you cut your dick off, that's $30,000. All of this money being made off of you is the real reason on why they want to transition you. Going back to the point, fighting every new bill is a tremendous undertaking for organizers. Every time a bill is introduced, it means planning another rally or organizing a witness list for a public hearing. To help the organizing process, several prominent social media accounts delegate much of their time to tracking each individual bill, and the American Civil Liberties Union also has a helpful tracker. But every proposal law serves only a slow panic among this country's trans communities. See, this whole paragraph just sounds like whining. Oh, woe is me, woe is me. Nobody cares. Okay, if you like this law, defend the law. Give me the real reason why you think that girls should get their breasts cut off. Give me the real reason why you think that guys should get their dick cut off. Give me the real reason why you think that. Because you simply cannot give me a reason. You cannot give me a reason. You cannot give these lawmakers a reason that's great enough, that puts their life first. You cannot give me a reason, or anybody that makes laws for a reason, to keep these bills out of the Senate or out of Congress. You cannot. That's why, instead of actually debating with people that you disagree with, You scream at them and you target them. You give them threats. You give them lawsuits. You give them whatever. You give them hell. You throw everything but the kitchen sink at them. That's exactly why you do not choose to have a well-meaning debate with them, because you know for a fact you will lose. You know that. Moving with the rest of the article, thankfully, most anti-LGBTQ bills don't end up getting passed. As a Human Rights Campaign report published last week showed, of the 315 anti-LGBTQ bills that were introduced last year, just 29 ended up becoming law. Most common among the past laws were bills attacking trans youth. In the last 3 years, 18 states banned trans girls from girls' sports, and 4 states banned transition care for trans youth. Okay, now, what are you talking about? They banned trans girls from girls' sports, of course. Because trans girls are not girls, they're guys. Just because, like I said, just because you put on a dress, just because you put some makeup on, put some lipstick on, you can put some lipstick on a pig, but it doesn't make that pig a woman. My God. But it's worth wondering whether hyper-focusing on every new bill does more harm than good. Yes, it's important to remain informed and to organize a collective response, but do we need tens of thousands of retweets because one red state legislator proposed something horrific? Of course, it's hurting you more than it is actually making you, win the culture war, because of the fact that nobody agrees with you on the culture war. You may think that you have the upper hand, but that's only because you own all of those industries that people can speak on. So obviously those industries that you own are going to be mostly filled with people that agree with you, like Reddit's filled with all libtards, Twitter's mostly, maybe not now, but before Elon Musk took over, all libtards. You have all the industries, MSNBC, all the national stations, Disney. You own all of these big tech platforms. You own all of these things like a monopoly. So if they have an opinion that doesn't agree with yours, of course they're done. Moving with the next article from NPR, we actually have what Biden needs to do in this year's State of the Union speech. Now, I do realize that the State of the Union speech is today, so I'm just going to be going over on the top of my head what he should do. He should go out and say, listen, the State of the Union speech is stupid. I will write a letter to Congress on the State of the Union. Goodbye, everyone. And then that's what he should do, exactly what George Bush did. But that's besides the point. What he should do is come out and say, listen, guys, I have breaking news. The egg situation is not the egg situation. There's no such thing as the aviation flu. Right now, at least. There's no such thing. Listen, what you guys need to do is stop killing your chickens. You need to change the feed that you feed them. Listen very carefully. The feed is owned by the same company, Hilldale Farms, that manufactures the most eggs distributed among the United States. So they have a conflict of interest, quite frankly. Because of this interest in selling their own eggs, they want to make sure that everybody else cannot sell their eggs. So Hilldale Farms produces all of this feed, sends it out. All of the farms that they just killed, the 58 million chickens that could not lay eggs, they killed them. But in reality, all they had to do was change the feed. That's first of all. Second of all, he should talk about gas prices. Gas prices did go down just a tad, but they're still obviously way sky high from where they first started under Trump, $2.15. Now it's $3.15. It's $1 more. Talked about that. At least where I am, it is. Number 3, he should talk about the war in Ukraine and how Ukraine should give up land to Russia. Russia should forfeit some of that land that they took over and reach a compromise, but will no longer continue the war in Russia and Ukraine. That's what he should do. Number 5, he should talk about that balloon that we had floating across the United States, like a Pennywise balloon flying across the United States going to all of these military bases. He should talk about that. Number 6, he should talk about the fact of his son and apologize and say, listen, my son, he did some awful things. So did a lot of people. Let's move on from him. Number 6, I guess that was number 6. Number 7, he should talk about the fact that he was found with classified documents. And so was Trump. And so was Mike Pence. And so probably was every single member of Congress, every single member of Senate. All of these people take home their work at the end of the day. It's not the biggest deal. As long as you're not keeping your data on a hard drive like what Hillary Clinton did. That's what he should be talking about in the State of the Union. Is he going to actually do this? We're going to see on Saturday. Moving into the next article from NPR, we actually have what's the next saga for the suspected Chinese spy balloon? Let's find out. On Saturday, the United States military shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina after it has traveled across much of the United States, capturing the attention of residents and media alike. China said that the balloon was a meteorological research vessel blown off course and expressed, quote, strong dissatisfaction and protest over its downing. Now, the United States military is left to literally pick up the pieces of the wreckage as diplomats and members of Congress express concern over the incident. Here's the latest. United States officials are working to investigate the balloon's wreckage. Top United States officials say that they were able to learn about the Chinese surveillance balloon by tracking it across the country, and now they're hoping to learn even more by examining the pieces of the remains after a fighter jet shot it down out of the sky on Saturday. In a background briefing on Saturday, 2 United States defense officials said that they were working with the FBI and counterintelligence authorities to recover as much debris from the balloon as possible, including whatever equipment was on board and any material of intelligence value. A senior defense official said that the administration has had several days to investigate what the balloon was doing and how, as well as why China might have sent it over in the first place. We don't exactly know all the benefits that will derive, but we have learned technical things about this balloon and its surveillance capabilities, the senior defense official said. And I suspect if we were successful in recovering aspects of the debris, we will learn even more. Authorities said that they may use the uncrewed underwater vessels that can lift the structure up to the surface and place it on a salvage ship. Navy divers were also available. The debris splashed down in a 47-foot deep water, making the recovery effort easier than has originally expected. China has denied that the balloon was used for spying, and instead it was used for conducting weather research. Okay, so how does your weather balloon end up getting all the way on the other side of the country, actually making the course of going over every single military base that we have in the United States? Explain that. Xi Jinping, explain. But you don't want to explain because of the fact that you're caught red-handed. You're caught, Xi Jinping, with your hands in the cookie jar spying on America. Now, what we should have done is blown that thing out of the airspace as soon as it came into our United States airspace. Boom! We fried that thing to shreds. Now, when you want to retaliate, we threaten you with a tax on all imported goods from China. We say, mess around and find out. That's it. We are harsh on China. We need to be harsh on China because they want to take over Taiwan, and we need to send the message that the United States is not one to be messed with. It's not a force to be reckoned with. That's the thing that we need to send out to Xi Jinping. That's the exact situation that we need to send out to Kim Jong-un. That's the exact situation that we need to send out to Vladimir Putin. We need to send out all of these messages to the people that may or may not be our allies in countless wars. This is exactly the message that we should be sending, but if instead we need to take a whole entire week to decide if we should or should not shoot down this weather balloon. And the fact that Joe Biden said to shoot it down on Wednesday and the military ignored him is a very, very small and minuscule. That did not happen at all. I can almost guarantee it. Moving into the next article from Fox News, we actually have Democrat-run tourist town sees a 200% surge in break-ins amid violent crime spike. Widely frustrating. Of course it's widely frustrating because all of these towns that the rich or the woke towns like Martha's Vineyard and New York City, all of these towns that people like visiting, they're very woke. And of course, they're very dangerous. I mean, I don't think Martha's Vineyard is so much dangerous because you need to actually pay to get there. But New York's very dangerous. LA is very dangerous. San Francisco, very dangerous. All these places, all left-leaning. Break-ins in Asheville, North Carolina saw a 200% monthly surge in January amid a violent crime spike. In the Democrat-run tourist town that has been hemorrhaged police officers in recent years. The Harshville Police Department, which serves a town of approximately 90,000 people, responded to 41 break-ins throughout 2022 and has already fielded 11 reports of break-ins in 2023 as of February 1st, according to the local ABC affiliate WLOS. Chris Faber, whose bar in downtown Asheville was targeted twice last month, within a span of a few days, told the outlet that the suspect broke into his establishment and stole about 20 bottles of whiskey and up to $800 in cash. Okay, so these people are breaking in. How about you just get a gun? Get a gun and protect yourself. This person insured you, boom, shot, dead. That's it. You cannot rely on the force to protect yourself anymore because of the force will not sit here and arrest these people and lock them up forever. That's exactly what you steal. You get your hands cut off. I'm called old-fashioned. I am old-fashioned. You steal, you get your hand cut off. If you talk back to your mom, you get a slap in the face. That's what it is. That's how it goes. You don't steal. If you want to rape, you die for rape yourself. That's very harsh. I believe in the corporal punishment. That's it. That's why these things do not happen in the countries that corporal punishments exist. Moving on to the next article from Fox News, we have Rep. Klayman expects positive response to the Biden re-election bid despite negative poll ratings. Now, if Joe Biden thinks that he can actually get elected in 2024, I think he's sadly mistaken. But I mean, he did win in 2020, so that is something that could happen. Rep. James Clyburn, Democrat from South Carolina, stated he expects Americans will respond, quote, very positively to President Biden's possible re-election announcement despite poll numbers to the contrary. Quote, I will say, as he often says, don't compare him to the Almighty. Compared him to the alternative. And that's what you do when you get into a campaign, Clyburn said on MSNBC's The Sunday Show. Host Jonathan Capehart presented Clyburn with a poll out of the Washington Post, which showed 62% of those surveyed would be, quote, angry or, quote, dissatisfied if Biden won re-election, along with 58% of those surveyed saying that they disapprove of his handling of the economy. Capehart proceeded to ask Clyburn if Biden should run for a re-election in such numbers. Well, quote, I hope he announces real soon. I hope he runs for a re-election, and I think the country will respond very positively to his candidacy. Of course, every single time you ask a Democrat, oh, do you think that Joe Biden should run again? They always say, oh, well, I think that people will be very happy if he does. Okay, so are you happy? Would you vote for him? Oh, well, I think that there are very good candidates in the 2024 primary contest, and we will see how the primary works out. They don't want to put Joe Biden under the bus just in case he has a small chance of actually winning. Moving on to the next article from Breitbart, we actually have, if I can find this button, okay. High school swimmer disqualified from race due to oversight of American flag on cap. How can you be disqualified for wearing the American flag? Don't you do the Pledge of Allegiance every single morning? Like, it's just crazy. Or I used to, at least. A New Jersey high school swimmer was reportedly disqualified due to the American flag on his swimming cap being too big for regulation, according to the boy's father. Rob Miller is the father of a 16-year-old sophomore swimmer at the Morristown High School in New Jersey. Of course, it's in New Jersey. During last week's senior night game against Paris Pyrenees Hills High School, Miller's son donned an American flag on his swimming cap to honor his grandfather, who was killed in the September 11th terror. Okay, so just reading this. God bless you. Rob Miller, God bless you. Rob Miller, which is the father, so Rob Miller's father, which is the grandfather, obviously, died on September 11th on the terror attacks. And he was wearing the American flag to honor his grandfather. And you're going to sit here and say that he's disqualified from a match simply because he's wearing the American flag? See, that's just a stab. That's like you stabbing me in the back, or stabbing the American flag in the back in this case, and then putting alcohol in the open wound. Oh my God, like that's just terrible. However, Paris P. High School coach raised concern over the size of the flag on Miller's son's cap. Interestingly, the coach waited until the race was finished to have the flag measured. Why does it matter about the flag size? Why is there even any regulations? If you want to have your body spray painted in red, white, and blue, you should have the right to do that. That's your body. What? My body, my choice until it comes to the American flag, I guess. The National Foundation, the National Federation of High School Association Swimming allows the following. One American flag, not to exceed 2 inches by 3 inches, may be worn or occupy space on each item of uniform apparel. By state association adoption to allow for special occasions, commemorative or memorial patches not to extend 4 square inches may be worn on the uniform without compromising its integrity. So why is there even a regulation? Miller said officials determined that the flag on his cap must be 0.2 too large for regulation in a since deleted tweet. Blood is boiling. My son was part of a 200 free relay to win a swim meet on a senior night. After the final event, the opposing coach asked to measure the size of the American flag on his Speedo United States of America swim cap. Miller reportedly tweeted, "It was 0.2 inches too large, according to the standards. DQ'd, they lost." Okay, so because of the fact that it was less than an inch too big, less than a half of an inch, less than a 3/4, less than, we can keep going. Just because it was this very, very small number too big, he's disqualified. That's it. You poured your heart and soul into this game. You're disqualified because of the American flag. You have American pride. You will get outshone. You will get shunned by society because you love America. How dare you love America? Miller added that the issue is the coach waited until after the swim to get the DQ, deciding to put the burden of the loss on a 16-year-old, letting down all the seniors that won their last dual meet of their high school careers. Yes, the issue is that the coach waited until after the swim to get the DQ, deciding to put the burden of a loss on a 16-year-old, letting down all the seniors that won their last dual meet on their high school careers. After the disqualification, Miller's son teammates were able to support him, posting on the Morristown swimming team's Instagram that everyone knows Motown boys were the real winners. Miller said that his son wishes no ill will on the opposing team, and he just wants everybody to get back to swimming. Of course, because he just wants to swim, that's it. Thanks, this is Miller saying, "Thanks very much for the support on my son's swimming DQ. Tough rule with the harsh penalty, but we'll learn from this," Miller tweeted. "My son wishes no ill will on the opposing team and he just wants everybody to get back to swimming. Hopefully the spirit of the rule can be changed in the future." Of course, it should be. That's a stupid rule for a swimming team. That's just dumb. Moving into the next article from Breitbart, we actually have Japan used balloons to send bombs into United States interior during World War II. So, while many Americans were concerned about the Chinese spy balloon that President Joe Biden allowed to fly over the continental United States for several days, it was not the first time a foreign nation sent a balloon to the mainland. For example, Japan used balloons to send bombs to the United States during World War II. Japan reportedly launched 9,000 balloons during a 6-month period at the end of the war. Close to 300 were either found or observed in the United States, according to the Atlas Observer. Known as fire balloons, these balloons were reportedly filled with hydrogen and carried bombs that weighed as much as 33 pounds. The United States Office of Censorship initially told media outlets not to report on the balloons in order to avoid giving Japan confirmation their devices has reached the United States. However, reports of the balloon were made public after the balloons bombed. This sentence makes no sense. Breitbart, fix your article. However, I'm going to try to make this make sense. However, reports of the balloon were made public after the balloon bombs resulted in the death of one Oregon family. 6 casualties happened when an unexploded balloon bomb was discovered in Oregon by a small group on a church outing, as the Washington Post recounted. The only casualties from the attacks came from the tragic discovery on May 5th, 1945, as an unexploded balloon bomb by a small group on a church outing in the Garhart Mountain area of southern Oregon. The Rev. Archie Mitchell and his wife, Alay Mitchell, by Blair, Oregon, took 5 children with them. While they reverend parked the car Ellis and the children called to him that they had found this strange object in the woods. He shouted a warning, but it was too late. The explosion killed his wife and the 5 children, ages 11 to 14. That's just sad. China, you should see. China should be really ashamed of a lot of things that they do, but this is just a cherry on top. Of course, they don't even care at all who they kill. In April 1945, 1 month before, the Oregon balloon incident, a Japanese balloon bomb exploded in the sky near Omaha, Nebraska's Durney neighborhood. As of Saturday, the Chinese spy balloon has been shot down and is no longer traveling across the United States airspace. And okay, so I agree. We've had this stuff happen before. We've had bombs during World War II dropped in the United States. So why is it that we just allowed this balloon to fly across the whole entire United States without caring whatsoever, without even questioning it? But with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Demetrius Urijo Show. Thank you all for watching, and if you did enjoy, please like and subscribe down below. Or if you're watching the audio portion of this podcast, please give the 5-star rating right down below so I know that you enjoyed these episodes, and comment what I should improve on or what I shouldn't improve on or what I should talk about, all on my Twitter account, Urijo Studios. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye. Hey, were you really going to click off this video before leaving a like and subscribing down below? Wow, so rude.